Good morning. I'm Linda Tellington-Jones, which I think you probably know, and it's really great to see you here. I'm in Hawaii, as I think most of you know, and I'm just kind of looking to see some of the names that I know, and a lot I don't know. Good morning, Ms. Amy. I see you. Very nice. And what we'll do, we'll just take a moment here to get everybody organized. I see, hi Ruby. Nice to see you. And we've got Wes Moore this morning, and hi Lindsay. It's really fun to just get a sense. I want to see if we, hi Jane. It would be lovely if you just type your names in the chat. And I'm going to just take a couple of questions. As it turned out, I had a lot of people asking me questions. And what I'm going to do is do another session where I'm just dealing with these questions. Because what I decided to do today, I have a collection of 4 videos that really tell a story of exactly what I did with this little dog named Abby. I'm actually going to show you work with 2 dogs, Abby, and who was 18 years old in this video, and then the other dog in her household, Greta, who was 11 at the time. The reason that I was asked to look at Abby was to have my take on whether her quality of life was adequate. And the question came up between Julie and her husband because Abby, this little Jack Russell Terrier, had the habit of this just walking, pacing back and forth along the same track in the kitchen. And she couldn't hold her pee or poo. And so she dropped these little poos along the way. And Richard had a tendency to not see them and step in them. So, you know, that wasn't so comfortable. But I mean, so my question was, take a look at this little dog. Now, the thing is that she was thought to be deaf and blind. These are really home videos because we were just getting a sense in the beginning of how to hold this, the video so that you can see what's going on. So I'm going to show first an 8-minute video, then we'll talk about it, and that was inside the kitchen. You're going to see an interesting change in this little dog. The good news is I want you all not to worry because in the end, she lived another year after this with a good quality of life. So this story's got a really great ending. So I think we'll just see now if what we're doing. I had these downloaded so that I could screen share them, but it turns out that the audio isn't loud enough. And I really want you to just hear, because I can talk about what I'm doing, but I want you to actually be able to get a sense of how I change the tone of my voice when I'm addressing her and when I'm in her presence. So just be patient with it, because in the first couple of minutes, you kind of see her going by. And we'll see, Wes, when you're ready, you can just let me know. So I'll tell you, first of all, I'm sitting on the floor in the kitchen, and I'm on the path that she goes back and forth through the kitchen, back and forth, back and forth. And what she did, Julie said that she was never able to actually contain her, not since she was a puppy, because she just like really lose it. So they had just done some little zigzags on her, but she would never stop to get touched. And it appeared that she would bite, because she would kind of come like she was going to take a treat, but then she'd go like this to the side, and because she couldn't see it. So what I did, and I'm going to show you these 4 videos, then I'm going to give you a chance to talk about it and ask questions in between. And then I'm going to show you some actual pictures, just some slides of the different touches that I was using to explain them and show you exactly what I was doing.
Hey, Linda, I
Yeah.
see this one of you in the kitchen. It
Yeah.
says it's 5 minutes, 27 seconds. I'm
No,
not.
try to get the 8-minute, because that 5 minute, 20 seconds is a portion only. If we have to show that, that's okay. But if you can find, I asked you to send the 8-minute. Sorry, boy, we had some, I had this all correctly downloaded so I can
Let
screen
me look
share, but
again through here.
well, you know what? So do you, as a second video, do you have the 4 minute and 34 seconds in?
See, I've got 1 minute, 1 second,
No,
a
that,
minute 40, a 4 minute, 35 second one.
yeah, okay, that's the second one I want to show.
And then I've got the one of you in the kitchen. That's 5 minutes, 30.
Okay, we'll start with that, but then there's another one with Greta outside that's 5 minutes and 13. Ah! This is so interesting
Here,
what all
let's
we have
see.
to do to make this work.
We'll play.
You know what we'll do if we have to? I'd rather that they see what I'm talking about as I'm doing it, but if we can't, I'll just have to screen share. If you can't find that 5 minutes, it shows
I think
Greta.
this one is it. It's you in the kitchen with her.
No, the first one is in the kitchen. That's the 5 minute and 31. We'll just start with that, and I will.
Okay. Here, let me get it playing. 1 second.
And you're sure you don't have one? Because Robin's really good at sending this. It's 8 minutes. It's the whole.
No, I don't see an 8-minute one.
Okay. So
I'll go ahead and share this one. Let's see.
We'll start with the first one, then the 5:30. So before we turn it on, well, actually, how can I can't do a little and then stop it, right? So I can talk about it.
I can stop it for you if you'd like.
Okay, let's just let this is in the kitchen in Wisconsin. This is 2018. Yeah, see what
That's
she
it,
does?
she did that.
She's looking for a tree.
Yep, there's again.
And she's now this is already when I had worked with her. Oh, that's a good girl. 4 minutes only. And she had at first come by and really just like trying to get a treat, and then kept going. But it's so amazing that she was standing still, because this is literally only after seconds. And as she went by, I was just go along her back, what I call a daddy long legs touch. I'm going to, and then just let her go. And this is already, I have this video when she went by about the third time. I just managed to get my finger behind her ear, and she went pushed down her head to the floor, all the way to the floor, and just stood there like down. And oh man, she wanted me in there behind her ear. As it turned out, it was her teeth. And you'll see after watching me, like looking in my direction. And this is like there. That's what she did the first time. That's when I actually could get her to stop and let me do TTouches. Now remember, Julie has been a horse practitioner for years, and she's really wonderful with these dogs, but she'd just been trying to do the zigzag, and Abby didn't want it. Oh, yes, girl. Oh, now just imagine, like 18 years, and this is literally after seconds, and I just, oh, now I'm using about a 2 pressure, and I'm going to explain later what that is, so you'll know. It looks like a lot, but it's just behind here what she wanted. Oh yeah. Now, what was really cool that I want you all to know, like after she'd gone back and forth, and she'd go around the corner and then come back and then go toward Julie, about the 4th time by, what absolutely, you can, if you can, West, stop just a moment, the sound rather. What was amazing, because remember, they thought she was blind and deaf, but at the end of that picture to my left there's a bathroom at the end of the kitchen. And I walked in and sat down in the toilet, and she followed me in and did one little lick on my hand. And I mean, you know, the fact that she was just saying thank you, I just couldn't believe it. And this is like a total, there, you see how now she's more careful now. It seemed like she was going to bite before because she'd really to the side. Oh, yes. Oh. And now this brings up the point, you all. This is a really interesting point because it's said a lot of people believe if a dog doesn't want to be touched or a kitty doesn't want to be touched, we're invading their space. But this dog, as you'll see at the end, she could be held. She could be taken to the vet the next week and had all her teeth taken out because they were all rotten. And she came home and ate like a horse. Now I'm doing little touches along the sides, just a few here and there. And see the fact that she could hear. That's the thing that was so interesting. Let's turn that sound back on a moment because I'm talking to Julie and just talking about this. And yeah,
she literally came for it.
Actually, several times she's come and licked me.
That's right.
She always had that same track that she'd take back and forth. So, and you know, the question, the question is, when a dog gets this age and it seems like she can't see or she can't hear, is that a quality of life? Absolutely, yes. I mean, she goes up and downstairs, she eats really well. Yeah. She's very happy to be with us.
That's what I figured.
And it's, it's a little bit of a hassle because she pees and poos, but you just make sure she doesn't do it on the bed.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good girl. That's very nice. Here. See, she could tell that time, and that's why I'm sure she can see a little bit. Because think of the way she was looking at me last night.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, she was really looking at you.
I'm just doing this with a fingernail. Yes, a girl. Yes, a girl. Yes, a girl. See if we can make you feel better up there. I am, but no, just asking her just to stay still for moments, giving her this opportunity to accept a little bit of containment. Because just think, I mean, this is less than 5 minutes, certainly less than 5 minutes total touches.
She was stimulating. Yeah, she likes it. I noticed that because I started doing those light touches.
There you go. Oh,
okay.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'd like to introduce Lindsay Denkens-Eden. Lindsay, can you just say wave and they can see you. Lindsay we've been working together for about 25 years. Lindsay assists me always in the Austin trainings, both with horses and companion animals and dogs. And she's going to be watching for questions in the chat. Now, I'm going to just kind of show you what I want to show you here, and then I'll take some of the questions about what I'm doing here. I recommend that you write them down if you have questions, and I'll do the best that I can. Hey, Valentina, good morning. This is like really wonderful. And Paula, Joseph Jones, you made it. Hi, thank you. Sorry, I just want to take a moment to greet you. I'm always and Pam Beats, hello. Yes, wonderful. So Wes, now what happened then, I was staying with Julie in Wisconsin, and this is the day before I started a horse training. So I just did a few minutes like this in the kitchen, and then we went outside, maybe an hour or so later. And we have another dog in the video, and that is 11-year-old hunting dog that Richard hunts with. And she is one of these extremely exuberant types, and you'll see the tail never stops. And it's a problem because Julie's 93-year-old mother was really nervous about coming into the house because this dog could not really be controlled. And you know how that is. If you're a little uncertain on your feet, you don't want a dog throwing itself around at you. But so I want to show you. First, I work for about, I think it's about 5 minutes, some with Abby out there, the Jack Russell, and some with Greta. And then I do a session with Greta showing how you can change in minutes, can change a dog's behavior. So let's go ahead and we'll just run it with, you can turn the sound on. Okay, Greta, here you go. Come here, girl. She doesn't know me at all at this point. That's it. Now, with Greta, what I wanted to show is that always she's been the dog that comes up, waves her whole body, gets in your face, and can't be still. And it's a problem with your 92-year-old mom, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things I said, until you can quiet her tail, she won't be able to stop that. But already, in just the moments that I've just contained her, I just held her by the collar, thumb in the collar, and again, like not 30 seconds at first, just did some circles on her. And now I want to get to her tail. So I hold her in the chest, and I have to have a thumb in the collar. That's a good girl. And look at this girl came over for a few more touches. That's really good. And this is good that Greta didn't try to push her away. Greta, that's what happened. Greta would get in the way. Good girl. Look where my right hand is. Now this tail is already a little calmer. Remind me to talk about the tail after the video. Easy, easy. See if I can just touch her tail. I'll be very gentle. I'll be really, really gentle. Very good girl. That's nice. And she just, of course, wanted to sit down each time. And again, this is the question. Is it okay now to politely insist? Why do I do that? Big difference between what you challenge me. A communication and a wag that's frantic. And that's how you described that before. It's as though it was careful, easy, you can do it. You can do it. Yes, that's a good girl. Can you turn around, please? Yeah, just. No, I said, can you turn around, please? And I'll talk about why I say the please after.
You're getting a picture of the tail.
You make the camera big enough that you can open it up so you can get the whole.
I've got you all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm just, those movements of my fingers are just moving the skin. And it's a 4 1/4. We'll talk about why after. Big thing is to show her, now wait a minute, just come into your body. So yes, you can stay in your body. It's a very good girl. Very nice. Just doing really light, tiny circles around her head there, wherever you see my hands. Now, when she goes, before, what she was doing was just throwing herself on her back. And when she does that, easy, I just ask her to, easy girl, stay on his side, see if you can do it. I know it's too hard for you. So just, I'll accept what I get for the moment. And she couldn't. She was too nervous about staying there flat. So I just let her do what she does, and you'll see. Lie on her side, and relax her front and back leg like this. This is really good. Really nice. At first, her back leg would be up, and her front leg would be off the ground like 10 inches, both of them. It's always happening her whole 11 years. It's as though she's not grounded. She's not in her body. And it only takes a little bit of this. Just, I mean, I haven't spent a total of 4 minutes over the last couple of days, right? But it's a very quality 4 minutes. Mm-hmm. And for those of you practitioners, when you're only spending 4 minutes, because I don't want to flood the dog with information. So how do you keep the human engaged if you're working with their dog in a way that is educational, informative, helpful.
Very nice. That's really good color.
Now, what I invite you to do as you're seeing these, imagine your own dog. If you don't have, you've got a dog with you there, just follow with some of these, or imagine that you're doing.
Just let her feel
Just
that.
did a little toot 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 daddy long legs down her back. This is
That's
a
amazing.
new TTouch, thanks to this little one.
It's very nice.
It's the only way I could connect with her in the beginning.
And touch my hand without doing that little movement out to the side, which was really trying to get a treat. But it looked like she was biting, right?
Look at her
Right.
tail. This is the first time this tail started to come up. You'll see it in a minute. She actually
That was
literally
wonderful.
wagged it. You will get a replay on all of this. Now, let's take a look, Wes. You know, I'd just like to, does anyone have a couple, just a question about what you've seen so far? I'm going to next work on, oh, wait a minute, let's see what you have next. I think it's the fourth or fifth. Just raise your hands if you have it, we can see it maybe. At the bottom, there's a little, you'll see you can put a hand up, but we can maybe see you. We have 174 people on. We won't be able to see your hands necessarily. Any comments or any questions at this point? Lindsay, can you watch in the chat? Just put it in the chat. Hi, Julie Sadler. Lovely to see you in the UK. I should be with you this week. Okay, no questions?
You've got a few, Linda. Let me go through a couple.
Okay.
See, Kiara Webb asks, would doing the false floor exercise help ground the big dog?
You know what? What helps ground them? That's a really good question. What helps ground her is to bring her into her body with these connected circles all over her. Because, and the python lifts down the leg. Oh, Roland. Oh, I meant to bring my big lab. No, I'll get him in a few minutes. So, you know, the false floor, for those of you who don't know the Feldenkrais work, you put something on the bottom of the pad for humans. Now, what you can do for a dog, which works really fast, you go in and you do these 1 1/4 touches between the pads, all around. And then we go from the elbow, I start at the elbow and go down, work down the dog's leg. So I do a circle and a quarter and a lift. Just try this on your own arm. You'll get a sense. You just put your hand on, circle and a quarter and a lift upwards, straight up toward the ceiling. Now in a dog, depending on the size, you may just be doing this on a little dog with these 2 fingers. And you can't even get, even on a big dog like Greta, you could only get a few fingers. It's a circle and lift. We'll talk about after why, for those of you who don't understand what the circle and a quarter is about. So you just go from all the way down your arm. And I go down right into the paws and the pads and then start working. Okay, any other just short questions before I show you the next part?
Someone, you said to be reminded to talk about the tail during the talk.
Yes, thank you. I will come to this after we,
Okay.
in a moment.
Let me see. Jane Burgess said, what TTouch would you recommend as a starting point for a dog with generalized anxiety?
The only way I could start with this dog, because she couldn't be contained, remember? So if it's a dog that you can, that just stands there with you, but they're just nervous, that's where we use the back of the hand, and because it's the least threatening to them rather than the fingers. And we've given, for those of you who are new on here, and I know we have some new, we've given animal names to all the different parts of the body. Like when I hold my hand up like this and I use the pads, I put the thumb on and use the pads of the fingers. This is what we call a clouded leopard touch. It's 1 1/4 circles. I'll come back to why after. And this thing with why is it a clouded leopard? Because I worked on a little leopard in the LA Zoo, Los Angeles Zoo, like in the 80s, who had this, she'd been taken away from, her mother hadn't accepted her, and all she's doing is kneading like this behavior that's very stressful. And all I did was just this, these circles on her with the pauses. And I mean, she wasn't afraid of people at all. She'd been handled a lot. But within probably 3 minutes, she kind of stretched out and stopped this kneading. And she had these circles on her body, and she was a clouded leopard, and that's how you can use these touches as light as a cloud and as strong as a leopard. So we have different pressures. Okay, so I start, but I don't start with those, because if a dog is nervous, they won't necessarily want your hands on them. So you can just start like kind of with the back of the hand. And sometimes in your own dog, you can actually touch their body. But if you're working with shelter dogs, sometimes you have to do this actually off the body and just imagine with your breath and your mind that you're touching them. And I know we have people on here who've had great success doing that. Any other questions that you see that are relevant right here at the moment?
What would you advise to calm a healer puppy that's 3.5 months old?
Just what I was doing. The thing is, put your hands on the shoulders, and here's my dog, just a moment. My new real dog hasn't yet shown itself, but I just very gently just contain them, just for moments between on the shoulders, from being from behind, of course. Just contain them, and you just start with the lightest touches moving around on the body, and then you might just let them go. I mean, literally seconds. And the idea is to see, using your breath, just give them a sense of themselves, and then get out of the way. Let them feel that. And it doesn't take much before, just like little Abby did, they'll start wanting more. Okay, let's just see which other video you have there. Wes.
Sure, let me see.
You must have then a 5-minute, or either 4:34 or 5:13. There are two with Greta.
I've got the one with another one with both dogs, it looks like.
Okay, yeah.
I'll share that one.
But the reason I wanted you to see this is to realize, we'll go on, we'll just see what this is now.
I want to put these two together is that this lovely lady, Greta, has been really hyperactive her whole 11 years. And she would never be quiet when somebody like Julie or I wanted to do a little touch on this wonderful little, almost 18-year-old Abby. And 2 days ago when I came, Abby couldn't stand still to be touched. That's a very good girl. You can lie down, Greta. Yes, and now just from doing literally little tiny, just moments. It's okay, girl. See if you can stay. Stay. That you see if you can stay. That's very nice. That's really good. Careful. Be very careful. Kept gentle. Be very quiet. Good girl. Now, this is only the second time I've just contained Abby just a little bit. And the thing that has happened from the lightest touches and literally only moments with her was that Julie was able to pick her up for the first time. That's a good girl. And what I discovered last night with her is when I got her ears, oh my goodness, she so appreciated that because something, yeah, is going on with that ear. And she just pushed into my hand so much. Yes, and it's such a, you know, it's such a big question. What do you do? Because her teeth are terrible, but she's totally traumatized to be picked up before. And so this is the question. And like, she gets around her really well. She goes up and down stairs. She loves being with Julie. She follows her all around, even though it seems like she couldn't see or hear. But the fact is, she has been coming to me, looking right at me, and doing a little lick of me. That's such a good girl. And these are the tiniest little, like it's just barely a one little contact that I'm just moving my fingers against the skin, like the fingertips, and I have nails, so it's just, she just feels the nail and the tiniest one little circle. And that's just brings her into the body. So Julie, just tell us how you feel about what you see. Just to
Oh, she's changed dramatically from doing that. I mean, she's able. She's always so afraid. The minute you stand over her, she like panics and scoots and everything. And she's just almost coming to us now to be touched. And she really seems to like it, and it's amazing to watch her look at. She actually is looking at you now.
Yeah.
I mean, her eyes are wide open. She doesn't have a groggy look or anything. She's very bright and alert,
yeah.
which is amazing.
And it's a big question because, you know, it's Richard has the problem because he often steps in her poo in the kitchen.
Yes, he's been the one that gets upset because he doesn't look where he walks.
But I mean, it's not diarrhea. It's just nice little poos you can pick up.
You can pick them up.
You know,
It's no
she's
problem.
a good girl. Yes, she's a good girl. You gonna come down? Come on.
I thought maybe she was
just
thinking
look
of
at her a
going to the
moment.
bathroom.
Put your camera on her.
Okay.
Yoo-hoo. Come on now. See, she can hear that. Good girl. Good girl. And watch what she does. Oh, you're gonna go to Julie. Oh,
I know
yes.
she's.
Keep your camera on. Yoo-hoo. Happy. Maybe she'll pee.
That's what I'm hoping.
Good girl. The thing is, it's good to know that she can hear a little and she actually can see a little, even though it's cloudy. And I think that gives us a different attitude towards her.
Yeah.
Oh, what a good dog. What a good girl. She's so pretty. Yes. She's so pretty. Just keep it.
Now the thing is, if you don't know this work, you cannot
To the side and opens her mouth and it looks like she's going to bite, but she's trying to get a treat.
imagine
And
how
I think she's
effective
tipping her head because
quarter circles are.
I don't know what you could do, but look at this. Oh, now that's the first time she's brought her tail up. And this is just like the tiniest little circle. Yes, good girl. Yes. And it's just like moments, 30 seconds at a time. And then let her walk and then come back and...
Again, do a little bit. That's great. Should I turn it off?
Yes, thank you.
So I can imagine that some of you are very impatient. Let's see something here. What I want you to realize is that this quality, this movement, this concept of just moving the tissue, the skin, in one circle and a quarter, has the effect of giving an animal a sense of themselves. So that when a dog is tense or nervous or reactive, it's like they're not grounded, they don't feel themselves. And what we can do is just do these TTouches, 1 1/4 basic circle on the whole body. And if you've got, some of you wrote about some of your older dogs are not working so well in the hindquarters, bring awareness to the entire body. Look for the parts that are working well. Bring awareness there, because you know how it is. If you get a hangnail, I mean, that's all you can feel, but come on, you've got 100, oops. You've got 100 trillion cells that are working, and just that one little part isn't, and that's what you feel. So the idea with this work for your dogs or yourselves is bring awareness, connect with all the parts that are working. My passion is cellular intelligence. And I have been blessed to find the work of first Sir Charles Sherrington, who won a Nobel Prize for his work with photons, cells. And in his book in 1976, it changed my life when I read this statement that every cell in the body knows its function in the body. That's what led me during my 4-year Feldenkrais training with Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais, led me to see the body as a collection of cells, whether it's humans or animals, doesn't matter. And the next thing that, when I read Bruce Lipton's Spontaneous Evolution, like all these years I'm thinking about how can I affect the cells? And what Bruce Lipton wrote in Spontaneous Evolution is the wonder of all these cells in our bodies. We're all sitting here, and all these cells, you know, these are breath works, our blood flows, our lymph flows. We don't have to do anything about it. So wait a minute. And as Dr. Jean King wrote, every cell is a genius. What the heck does that mean? For me, with this work at the heart of TTouch is that recognition that every cell knows its function in the body, and that we, from thousands of case studies, we know that when we just make this 1 1/4 circles, it seems to have the effect of supporting that cellular connection, communication between the cells. And that's why no matter what your dogs are dealing with, you just bring awareness, with these 1 1/4 circles and pauses. You bring awareness to that, recognizing that phenomenal creative spark in every cell in the body. I mean, come on, it's a divine spark. We are divine beings. It's just, we're miracles, actually. And this 1 1/4 touch that we finally, after years, recognized, thanks to a young boy, 15-year-old young boy in the autism spectrum, brilliant person, came in and said, wait a minute, that 1 1/4 circle, that's the golden ratio. That is that spiral that is in all of nature. And this is why one of our psychologists in Austria, who did set up a test for us with 58 people doing 20 minutes of TTouch, just between the head and where you sit on the chair, and had such a phenomenal increase in well-being in every one of those persons, that we can only believe. And from the results that we see, wait a minute, just acknowledge, wow, what are all the parts? Remind you of all the parts on yourselves or your dogs that are functioning. Connect with that divine spark, that the source consciousness in every cell in our body. I would just like to, I want to flip over and show a few slides here. Let's see, I think, Wes, I can take over now the screen share, right?
Yep.
See if I can do this. Here we are. I don't need sound here for it now. So this was, I want to talk about the mindful pause. And it's actually meant to be like when we're doing these TTouches, you maybe saw on Greta when my hands were just still. That pause and staying present is, in cranial sacral work, that is called the still point. And that is the point at which the body is in heart, in the state of the parasympathetic nervous system, the ideal state for rest and recovery. And one of the things that just staying present in this way and allowing this amazing being, this body, giving it the opportunity to just be still. It's a huge thing. For those of you who ever asked about this puppy, just bringing him to this, for seconds, this place of stillness, and let him go and play. And that's what I was doing with Abby, is just, wait a minute, moments of stillness. This is what, right here, I just put my hands on her shoulder. And normally I wouldn't be facing her, but she, at that point, was coming up to me and just standing there. I prefer to be from the side. It's just, that encourages them to use their calming signals to turn their head back to me. Now, this is, I already talked about the clouded leopard, and all that means is just, it's the part of the hand, the fingers that we're using, and it's the 2/3 of these first section of your fingers. Now, one of the things when I first named these parts of the hand animal names, because, you know, we have well, you'll see in a minute, the raccoon touch. We have these various touches. I had no idea how important this would be to us in this day and age, because last year we were going twice a week. Our doctor, denotes himself as a plant-based doctor, was giving us these lessons, like free lessons, when we were a group. And what he brought up was something called the nature deficit syndrome. Now, those of you who have dogs, even now with your dogs, you can get out outside. But for so many people, they don't have a chance to get out and feel nature. And children who are growing up don't want to be out in nature. And it's that disconnect from the nature around us. Now, the thing that just came up like a month ago, I don't know how many of you have heard about this, and it's called the skin hunger syndrome. Interesting. Deficit, skin hunger deficit. And that's what we can do when, It's what we can do when we actually make a connection with our hands on our dogs or on ourselves, that we can stay present, we can connect with that being. Now, this is just in these 3 little videos. I don't know how well you can see this, but this is where I was just, as Abby would come by, I would just go, it's just, it's not what we call the tarantulas. It's not moving the skin. It's just like moving to go slowly. That's what I was doing. And it was after about maybe 3 passes back and forth on her path, this sundowner path that she was taking in her considered to be demented state, that she stopped. I put my fingers right there, and man, she just pushed her head down to the floor. Then I could do something that she accepted. And then you saw the difference. And literally, the fact is that certainly wasn't a total of 10 minutes with my hands on her, certainly not, over 3 days, that she changed. And she could be taken to the vet the next day. This was the neighbor boy who always loved this dog, but could never hold her. I mean, Julie must have been a little shocked when he picked her up, but she was just fine with this. And 2 days later, Julie was able to take this dog to the vet, and her teeth were completely rotten, pulled all her teeth. She came home and she ate immediately, never stopped eating. What happened also, this dog, she lived another year, and one night, a few months later during the winter when it was cold out, she went out at night to pee, and didn't come back, disappeared. All their neighbors were out looking for her, searching for hours. I just happened to call Julie in Wisconsin, and this was going on. I mean, I was so connected to this dog, and they thought she'd gone off to die. See, I don't believe that story that dogs go off to die. I've seen it several times when they just wandered off, and their angels managed to bring us to a couple of dogs in situations like that, or an animal communicator was able to bring to the dog. But with her, I said, please don't give up. Don't give up. She's going to be okay. And the next morning, a neighbor like a quarter of a mile away called to say that they'd let their dog out in the morning, and the dog started barking. They went out, and in the neighbor's patio, and the neighbor was away, this little dog had her paws frozen to the ground and was standing there. And she was fine. And she lived another good life for at least 6 months after that. So I just want you to think about this thing. What do we think about, the people who say, no, dog, cat doesn't want to be touched, leave them alone. We're interfering with them. I want you to think about that. And we don't restrain them, we contain them. Like with that puppy, just moments of containment, and then just start doing these various touches. With the tail, what I wanted to talk to you about the tail is so many people, and I've certainly had trainers in my classes who believe that I'm just thinking of one, what was she? Oh God, I can't think of. Anyway, one of these dogs that's just constantly moving, like never still, tail going, back feet moving all the time. Thought this was enthusiasm. The fact is, in that particular dog, they had allowed the hair to grow on and down because that's part of the breed standard, lots of hair on the feet, and it was slippery. And she didn't feel comfortable. And I talked to a person, because she wasn't showing this dog, into cutting the hair back away and doing touches on her pads and then working on the tail. And this is in a 6-day training in Colorado. And by 2 days, she could come in and sit quietly and not just like be jumping up all the time and wanting attention, because we brought her back into her body in a polite way. And not using food. We use food if a dog is really afraid, then it's important, and I don't give it out of the hand. I just allow that dog, put the food on the ground so she has to reach for it. And we've been very successful with this. So the reason with that tail, also think about this tail, it was always going. This is a docked tail. And when the tail has been docked, that image is still there. There's a nervousness that will not ever leave the dog until you start doing these quiet touches and bring awareness to the tail. And we have much experience with this. If you happen to have a dog that has a docked tail, we don't see it so much anymore. Certainly not in Europe, but you can change that. So I'd like to take a few questions. Ross, or Lindsay, if you see questions here, let me address a few of them.
Sure, let me look through them real quick.
We can stop the share now for the moment. And I would just invite any, Pam or Julie, Sadler, any of you have had lots of experience with this. I see Ruth has been working with a lot of dogs. If you would like to pop in and just share an experience for those, because we have a lot of people here that I've never seen before and probably don't know much or anything really about this work. Let's see if any of you. Who's muting yourself?
Let me see.
This is
Okay, here's a question. Someone said, I adopted a 4-year-old Cocker Spaniel sister. Oh, it's moving up. One always something or attacks its sister when it's stressed. She gets stressed when she sees or hears other dogs or didn't get the attention she wants. She also loves to go outside, but not just pulls, but runs on the leash, making it nearly impossible for them to keep up.
Yep. Okay, thanks. Now the thing is, all I'm doing here with these dogs is just showing the basic TTouch. And part of the Tellington method is the work that we do with special harnesses with something that my sister Robin Hood has developed that's called the connector, and it is brilliant. I mean, for years we have been advocating having a leash that connects to a chest piece and the back piece. And now then we added the sliding handle that the Freedom Harnesses came up with, which was really incredible. But what my sister Robin Hood added was a connector to this. And for just stopping dogs from pulling with that sliding handle is something you really want to look at. And you can go on, please write it in the chat. This is ridiculous. I don't even know my sister's, I think it's TTouch Canada. Lindsay, can you please get their website? Because, and Robin has a lot of videos up that you can see on YouTube. Actually, you can go on YouTube and see it under TTouch and what Robin has developed. And if any of you are interested, she just finished my sister Robin and my niece Mandy just finished a online course for dogs, and I am going to be doing a coaching with that. If anybody's interested and wants to hear more, put your name in the chat and we'll write in there Robin's website, please. Lindsay, if you can do that, I'd appreciate that. And if any of you are interested, we'll send all this information out to all of you, but if anybody is particularly interested in coaching with your dogs or getting regular questions answered, you can go and it's an odd address that we have. It's ttou.ch, takes you to our Tellington TTouch community. And this is a paid membership, $9.99 a year, $9.99 a month. And you can get all your questions answered. And every week we have webinars and really wonderful information and a huge library with all these other webinars and many, many of my videos and books in there. So I would really love to have one of our experienced people. Pam, did you raise your hand?
I
Yes?
did. Can you hear me?
Pam, yes. Pam Beats, yes. I just want you to know, Pam and I have worked together, what, 30 years?
Oh, somewhere in there.
And she became a TTouch practitioner and then a Feldenkrais practitioner for many, many years. And it's Pam that is actually responsible for a PhD that Cecilia Wendler did on 160 soldiers who were afraid of inoculations, and having the PhD was based on that somebody who didn't know TTouch would do 3 minutes of the simplest touches right around the injection site, and then the pulse and respiration and blood pressure was measured before and after, and it had a significant improvement in the reduction of stress based on those factors. That's it. That was the first PhD. And the reason that Pam is responsible for it, she was giving a Feldenkrais presentation to nurses for credit at the University of Colorado, and she did an hour and 45 minutes of Feldenkrais and 15 minutes of TTouch. And in that 15 minutes of TTouch, Cecilia Wender, who was a critical care nurse also, went back and was present in an operation. I think it was an open heart surgery. And the person on the table during the surgery started to get these flailing limbs. And once that happens, everything stops. And it is so expensive. Every minute that you're in that situation. And Cecilia asked, could she try something? And so she just did a few of these touches that Pam had shown. And the person just got totally quiet and they were able to resume the surgery. And that's how she got permission to use TTouch and begin to record it in the hospital. And that's how she wrote her PhD on it. That's the first one that we have. We have others since that. But Pam, thanks to you. So,
well, actually, thanks to you is the truth with that. You know, I think over the years, one thing that's always struck me is that things we think that are unchangeable change. And this little story is about one, this was probably in the 80s, late 80s, I think. And I had just been starting with TTouch and went to an animal shelter close to Denver with another colleague. And we were just going to work with some dogs and show them TTouch and such. And one of the people there said, we have a dog that's been returned 2 or 3 times already because they were so exuberant. You couldn't touch them. You couldn't train them. You know, they jumped on people. They pulled on the leash, all of that, and kind of defied training so people would bring them back. And they said, we have some new owners. They're coming in 15 minutes. Can you fix this dog? We said, well, sure. We'll just give it a try. So literally in the lobby, we did some TTouch. And we did, you know, Python lifts on the legs, as much as we could, because this dog was a moving target. And got a body wrap, you know, a real simple body wrap on it, and the dog quieted down. People, you know, we had to disappear before the new owner showed up. And the dog was adopted and stayed in its home, last time I heard. So, you know, it was just one of those wonderful things. It's like, why not give it a chance? And for me, it just changes things that people don't believe are changeable. So, you.
Thank you. I mean, that, you know, and that is just typical of what we see. And the point is that in this 1 circle and a quarter, we have to stay present. Like I just pay attention to the quality of the roundness of the circle and the contact. And we have, in the 9 elements is the pressure. We have a pressure from 1 to 10, whether, and that goes through all species, including humans. So I have only used a 10 pressure on a human, I think 3 times in all the years I've been doing this TTouch, specifically since '83. Now think about it. If you go to a regular massage, that most people want deep work. And that means something, well, we would say between a 7, 8 to 10, a lot of pressure, which is really hard for, as a person gets a little older, a lot of massage therapists find this is too difficult for them. Now, the pressure that I'm talking about here, that I'm demonstrating with Abby, sorry, oops. What that pressure was a 2. And how you get that, you have to know this because it looks like it's a lot of pressure, right? You cannot tell from that. So I'm going to give you the 1 and 3. So this is the takeaway with this. And it's necessary to know it in order to be successful. I can't tell you, like I do a lot of coaching with Zoom. And I remember a young trainer wrote to me and said, you know what, this stuff doesn't work. I watched one of Robin's webinars and I tried it and my dog hates it. So I said, well, why don't you know, I'd be happy to Zoom with you and just show me what you're doing. And her dog's lying down there. She starts to do it. And so I said, and the dog gets up. So I said, well, then I showed her this, what I'm going to show you. And she was using way too much pressure. And this is all I did. I showed her, and I want you all to follow this. Support your elbow, because I'm going to show you a 1 pressure. So the 1 is I connect with my thumb to my cheek so that my hand isn't just out there in the air, so I'm supporting the other. And now with the forefinger, I just move the skin on my eyelid in a circle and a quarter. No, that is a 1. Now just think that all I'm doing, and I hold the thumb underneath, because if I just have the from the top, no, I need the connection when possible. And with the lightest possible connection, I move the skin on my arm. Now it's not going over the skin. When I go over the skin, that's not the basic TTouch. No, just moving the skin. Now that's your 1. Now I want you to get a 3. And it's really rare, I mean, that I would use even a 3 on a dog. But it's because it's usually a 2. So your 3, go back here, support your arm. And now take your thumb and now find your cheekbone. Just like, just feel your bone under the skin here. Now when you can clearly feel the bone, I want you to curve your fingers, because if you just like press with your finger like that, not comfortable. Curve your fingers and move the skin on this cheekbone and feel like you can feel the outline of the bone clearly under here. And breathe while you do it, because our human tendency, one of the 9 elements, is the breath. And the smile. Okay, now go back to your arm, catch with the thumb. It's like this Pac-Man thing. Curve your fingers, and I allow, for the simple, there are lots of other ways to do this, but just for simplicity, I focus on my middle finger making move, and the other finger's just going with it. And watch your little finger, because our tendency is to lift the little finger. That's a natural human tendency. Down, just, because when I lift that, I can feel my muscles in my abdomen tighten. No, just move slightly as we can, 1 1/4 circles. Now, what I was doing, if I go to the tips of the fingers, that little raccoon touch, that's when I make these tiny, tiny circles. And that's what Abby really loved, that, especially here. Especially around the ear. So I hope that gives you some ideas. I'm sure that we have lots of people sitting here who are very skeptical. I love that. I'd be skeptical too. Are you kidding? You think this is going to make a difference? Yeah, well, we have thousands of cases for animals and also for humans. And what I would really like you to consider, Wes, could you just, if you would be patient with me, I'd like you to just see something for 2 minutes. I want you to see why I encourage you to join our, we're doing, for 2 years, we've been teaching TTouch online, and people find when they learn this for themselves, they can take it to their animals in a whole new way. And then it's a really gift for us from the animals. Wes, can you grab that?
Yeah, let me.
2 minutes, and you'll hear why. Now, before you turn it on, I've been teaching this with Eleanor Silverstein. And by the way, for those of you who know Eleanor, she's okay. She was down with the virus for really, really bad for a day. And I did a lot of work of imagining light in the cells from a distance. We went into a forest and worked all around her with this. And it's unbelievable what a difference that makes when you just imagine activating that light between the cells, because the light in the cells represents the communication between the cells. So I really invite you just to listen with me for a moment. 2 minutes. Hi, I'm Linda Tellington-Jones, and today I want to tell you about a new program we have called Cellular Wisdom Decoded. We've been offering these online programs now for self-help, for TTouch for You for 2 years. And the results that we're seeing have been really, really inspiring. Just a typical example is somebody who came in brand new to the course, never having anything to do with TTouch, and wanting to know how can she help with these basic 1 1/4 circles that is actually that magical spiral that's in all of nature. What can she do to help herself with the extreme problem with emphysema. And it's a very, very scary experience. And so what I do, I led everybody in the course, or like more than 50 people on, how they can, just showing with TTouch, with various parts of your hands, that you can reach the whole parts and really activate your breathing in new ways. And what happens is it gave this person an opportunity to know that she's not helpless. She can't, it empowers her to help herself. And what came out of it that was so wonderful, another person who was in for the first time actually found that she could enhance her breathing like never before. And she does yoga breathing and wonderful Feldenkrais breathing for years. And I said, so what's the difference? And she said, because I'm putting my own hands on myself in a loving way. And that's typical of what we're getting. And one of our practitioners has been teaching this work for years with dogs, found she has bone-on-bone knee issues. And she can't get surgery now because she's alone and can't get aftercare. She can't get replacements. So and she tried TTouch on her own, like she did on the animals very successfully, but it wasn't reducing her pain. And so I led everybody in the very specific ways and pressures for using TTouch. And she's been able now over 3 weeks to reduce her pain to a 2 level from an 8. Remember, it's never a replacement for medical help, but it's something that empowers you to help yourself. So join us. Just check the link below. We'll look forward to seeing you. So I really encourage you to go and take a look at that link. It's it's TTouchForYouOnline.com/cellularwisdom. And maybe, could you please, Lindsay, write this in the chat so they can see that? And in this time of this virus that we have no idea now in the United States where it's going to go, those of you in Europe are just really blessed. Many of you are back to work and actually teaching now. But we're not in the same situation. We're lucky here in Hawaii because people have been wearing masks. But I want to leave you with this concept of the heart hug, because when we are knowing what's going on around us, this fear that permeates everything really affects our immune system. And what we've discovered from brainwave studies that we've done is that we can bring ourselves out of these looping thoughts. How many of you have, like, I would say, who doesn't have? Sorry, I have to cough again. These looping thoughts that you can't stop. This is under the control of the limbic system, that primitive part of the brain that puts us in fight, flight, freeze, faint, fool around. Same thing with our dogs. Now, when we want to work with our animals, we want to be in a place of heart coherence or under the effect of the parasympathetic. And that is having choices, being able to use this forebrain. And how we can do it, that we've discovered from studies, and you'll know it right away. You put one hand over the other, you imagine the face of a clock here, right on your chest, which is your heart chakra, right here. Now, however is easy for you, you can use the back of your fingers, you can use little tiny touches, however is comfortable for you. Put one hand over the other or both together, and from this imaginary clock, and 6 o'clock is toward the ground, 9 here, right shoulder, 12 up here. I'm saying, the reason I'm saying the numbers, 12 to the chin and 3 to the left shoulder. When I talk about numbers, that activates the logical part of our brain. And we need that. We need to know that, wait a minute, all this fear that's around us, because we don't know what the future is going to bring, that really affects us and keeps us in this sympathetic state of fight, flight, not being able to focus, unfocus. And as soon as we imagine, just catch the skin, as lightly as possible and move from 6 o'clock. I'm going to do it in a different way, like 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, 9. Take a nice deep breath and smile. Now try the other direction, because the other direction may be your direction. See which you prefer, or just very lightly cupped one over the other. Try that. Now you can literally, and we have a number of Feldenkrais practitioners here. Eleanor's been bringing this into the Feldenkrais arena and guild for quite some time, and just affected so many people. So one in the direction you want, 1 circle in a quarter. Take a deep breath at the quarter and smile. Now the reason you smile is when it's normal when we're doing something new to like hold the breath and frown, to focus, like deep breath and smile. And then when you stop at the quarter point, whichever direction you're going in, think of something for which you are deeply grateful, because that gratitude also overrides the fear. Fear cannot exist in the place of gratitude. And boy, I don't know about you all, but a few times during this last 2 months, and I have so much to be grateful for. I have come to a place where I've felt the pain of so many people I want to feel that pain. I want to acknowledge what so many people are going through. And then I had to pull out of it. And it was really not good for me to be in that state of fear. And start counting my blessings. And one of the blessings is that we can share like this. It's just a miracle. And that we have the time. It's just amazing to me, amazing that we have the time. And I have to show you something, because so many people of you here sent me cards for my birthday. I just had my 83rd birthday. But look, I want you to see this. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to stand up from my computer. These are my collection of cards. They are still coming in. And this is what gives me gratitude. It's just amazing. And I always have the flowers here, but this time I've got the cards and your gifts. And I want to share this with you, because I surround myself, with flowers and nature. And I don't know if I can walk you out here, but once we start to open up again, we'll be having our workshops here. And in the yard next door, that's where we have our dogs, and we see out to the ocean here. And when I sit at my desk to my right, I look up the mountain and I see the palms dancing, and out this way, I can see the golf course, and I can see across the street where I used to walk our Westie. And I just count my blessings many times a day. I hope some of you will join us in our course. If anybody's interested in the courses that we're going to be offering online, just we'll send you information. Be well and try this. If you've never even tried it, just do it for yourself, and let's send out a heart hug to all animals who aren't so blessed as our animals, and to all the people who don't have the possibility of support. And just call in our guardian angels and feel the blessings, count the blessings in your life. Thank you for spending this time.
Linda, do we have time for one more chat?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I think this.
I don't know about you, I'm not running out to teach anywhere.
With this comes, I think this is a good one. It addresses a number of issues, but it comes from Peggy Rogers.
And she says, my friend Alice had dementia. I went to visit her with a friend and Alice didn't respond to anyone or anything until I took her arm and did the team touch on her arm and hands. Her eyes focused and she all of a sudden, she came into her senses and knew who I was and was able to talk about horses and had a real visit. My friend Barb cried as she said no one had been able to get her to respond to them. Alice was in a care center and didn't like a certain caregiver and was able to tell us. And so after that, the owner called me and said she finally started eating better and was more relaxed. So I am telling you, all TTouch works on people and critters.
Could you write that story to me, please? Because what we're doing, we're collecting one of our practitioners from Montreal. In Canada, by the way, the Canadian government has allocated funds for bringing gentle forms of body work to seniors in senior homes. And she is a TTouch practitioner and a massage therapist. And so we're collecting these stories. And we have an amazing story from a one-year collection in a home for dementia and Alzheimer's in the Midwest, where I went in and I did 4 days of TTouch training for the entire staff, 52 people. The state paid for their salaries to be paid while they came to the training. And they, as a result, they had to keep a computer-generated result every time there was an intervention. Like a senior didn't want to eat or just kept crying and wanting to go home or wouldn't sleep or wouldn't stay in the room. And just literally 2 or 3 minutes on a shoulder or on a hand like this, and they would settle. But we've had stories like this over the years, and we need to collect them, because when you go to just take the hand and just do this, like 1 1/4 circle and a pause, and connect, just be there in gratitude for that person. And I can't tell you how many people have reported, said, oh, Julie, it's you. Somebody who had not been able to respond. And we have a beautiful video actually from one of our practitioners in Belgium whose mother is in a senior home and could no longer walk and certainly couldn't talk. And she started doing TTouch on her, and she actually has videos of her mother is now walking with a walker and her mother reaching out and kissing her dad. Didn't recognize her before. Just these 1 1/4 circles. And I am totally convinced now, finally recognizing that what we're doing is connecting with that divine spark. It's like this code of 1 1/4 circle, this golden ratio, is connecting to that source consciousness, that divine consciousness in every cell in our body, because that's who we are. That's what runs this body. And when we start recognizing that and start daring, and this is what we do in our courses, we dare to show appreciation for parts of the body that many of us didn't like or couldn't accept because it was painful or we thought it was ugly or something. And when we start to, wow, connect with that divine spark within, that's different. That we can do. And that's when we boost our immune systems. And I've told this story numerous times. About 15 years ago, HeartMath Institute sent out a report from Dr. Roland McCready. And when I read it, it changed me, because he wrote that when we say a negative, have a negative thought toward our body, that it affects our immune system negatively. And I used to say constantly, oh, Linda, that was really stupid. And when I read that, man, I'm pretty sure it's only a couple of times I've forgotten and said that. But what happens is that other parts of our body, because it hurts, or we don't like it, or we're stiff, or doesn't function as well. if we dare to start talking to it, talking to the cells as though they can understand. And the same thing with our dogs, talking to our dogs as though they can understand, because they do, they can. And when we come in heart coherence, that's when we can connect with them, because when we're nervous or we want to control that dog or is making us nuts from the behavior, wait a minute. One of our basic philosophies is like, if you want to change your dog, got to change your mind first. And what we mean by that, holding, seeing the parts you appreciate, number one, and then holding the behavior you would like. What is the behavior you would like? And holding that possibility. No. I don't want to leave you all. I just really am enjoying you. I would love to hear what some of your thoughts on. I know a lot of people don't dare to say anything, but I would love to hear.
May I volunteer? May I volunteer?
Yes, please. And yeah, and then may I just read this first so I don't lose it?
Of course.
So this is from Charlotte Walker. Thank you. I'm an AAT specialist and have volunteered at nursing homes with my dog. I would like to introduce the heart hug. Yes, with this in the school environment and or nursing home and hospice. We do it in all of the above because of the times we are in. Yes, the BBC Radio 4 in the UK had a program about touch before the virus. Now they're talking about it again in regards to the lack of touch. Now we need to get you on the program. Great. Yes, I'm very happy to, or certainly some of you can get on in the UK with your accents. It would be better than mine, right? This hunger deficit, the skin hunger deficit is a real issue. And just this fear is a real issue, the fear that we have around us. So go to the heart hug. Just so you know, we start on the 26th of July, we're starting another 4-month course for TTouch for You. So every Sunday, Eleanor Silverstein and Sandy and I come on for 3 hours, and then we have questions. What's changed is that because after the Feldenkrais Summit, we had 29,000 people on over 10 days. It was brilliant. It was in June. And I was one of the speakers talking about TTouch, a link for cellular wisdom, just a link to cellular wisdom. As a result, we had a lot of Feldenkrais practitioners join us knowing nothing. And they were only in like the last month, like last one time of this 9-month course, but you get self-study of all the rest. So I said, okay, that doesn't work for me. And every Tuesday now, I come on for as long as you have questions. They last like 3 to 4 hours. And by questions, I mean, if somebody has like emphysema or somebody had a scar, I have to read this to you. I mean, it just makes me cry every time I read it. It's so incredible. So one person said, she's a Feldenkrais practitioner, and she said that she had, can TTouch do anything for scars and or emotions around scars? And I said, well, tell me what's going on. And she said 20 years before she'd had a hysterectomy, and the scar was really like ugly and not comfortable. So I said, well, just ask your cells if they could talk to you, what would your cells say to you? And it didn't take her like 10 seconds. And she said, they'd like me to love them. And so we started then, and I invite you, like if you have a place that can't be touched, if you've had surgery that was life-threatening, most likely you cannot touch that area. That's normal. So you just ask, in this case, I asked yourselves, okay, how far off the body would your cells feel safe if you started doing this TTouch? It was like 10 inches off. And because we meet every Tuesday, that she came back either 1 week or 2 weeks later, and then she was only 2 inches off the body. She kept working with it every day. This is what she wrote to me. Can you imagine? It's like, because of TTouch for me, I now see the beauty in my husband of 40 years. I don't take him for granted. it has opened me up to loving myself, others, and the wisdom of the trees. Because each Sunday, in our course, I start off by leading you into the trees and just calling in all the beings of nature and all our animals. And it's an amazing journey. It's what I did with Eleanor Silverstein when she had the virus like 3 days ago. And it just made a huge difference. It has spread me up to love myself and the others, the trees, the animals, the plants, and the birds. As I write this, I wonder, how is this possible in such a short time? Because she wrote this after only 3 hours on one Sunday and 3 Tuesdays live with Linda, which are like I say, that would have been 14 hours at least. My body is a vessel for my soul, so I am learning to love and appreciate it for the job it does for me. And that's how we learn to love these bodies that haven't always served us the way we would like, right? Anybody else get stiff? I'm 83 and normally I don't get stiff. And just in the last little while, oh my God, I mean, wait a minute. How come if I sit here for very long and I get up, I'm stiff? Because I haven't had that before. So anyway, I have to think of all the times I'm not stiff. That's what I do. So I'm sorry, here I interrupted you, and who was going to share with us?
May I?
Yes, please.
Hi,
Did you say your
Amy
name?
Hollinger.
Hi. Thank you for your cards.
You're welcome. My dog. I have 3 things. The first are 2 comments about healing, and the third is a question. I had an individual who came out of a light anesthesia and was really nauseated and didn't want to be touched. So I stood behind her, and with like a half touch, I put my thumb behind her ear and I gently stroked. She wouldn't even let me go in the ear well. I just gently stroked. And the other time I just played with her hair. And I did pull sort of straight out like this. And she stopped being nauseated to the point where she started talking and she forgot she had been so overwhelmed with nausea. The second time was my dog had a dental cleaning and was, just feeling way out of body and way awful. And I did some ear slides. And then very, very shortly after, it was like, okay, that was great. That was enough. And it didn't even take very long. And I could feel her come back to a more normal mood and consciousness. And it was so quick. And I was surprised because I wanted to do more, and that was enough. The third thing is a question I've had for a long time. When you work on a human, a dog, yourself, how far are your touches apart? Because sometimes it's good to go general and not touch the problem area. And other times, you can work towards a problem area, but like how far do you start? How far are your touches apart?
So Amy, do you have a specific problem area in mind?
For me, my lower back.
So you have trouble getting there, right?
Oh, I can go right to it because I'm kind of a direct person in that way. But just in general, like if I work on Hava or
well, the thing is, this is where it's, if Hava doesn't want to be touched in an area, is that what you're saying?
she likes it. We're very touchy.
Okay. So the point is, you can have your touches right next to each other or around a spot that doesn't want to be touched. It's, remember what we're doing here, you all. The intention behind this, it's like a homeopathic intent, is to support the genius in the cells, support the cell's ability. And I want to, where is this? Do I have this here? Yes. I want to read you this. This is a paper off the internet. I Googled it. It's from the International Institute of Biophysics. It's a journal for that group. And it's about Professor Fritz Albert Popp. And I had the amazing fortune to spend twice with him in his laboratory in Neuss, Germany. And I went the first time when I showed him TTouch on his shoulder, and I said to him that because he is known worldwide for measuring light in the cells of, first of all, plants, to see, you know, like what the difference was in a healthy plant and a not so healthy plant. And then later he developed this little box that I have worked with, where the person puts their hand in the box and it measures the light in the cells represented in the whole body. And so when I went to him and I asked him, like, I'd had this experience of working with a horse who'd been hit by a pole falling over a jump and didn't want to be touched in an area on the croup. And so when my hand went there, I suddenly had this feeling like, what? It's like, it seems like there's less light in the cells. Now you have to understand, at that point, I had no idea what I was talking about. First of all, I don't want to see things. I don't see auras. I don't want to do this because I only want to do what a child can do. But I'd already read Sir Charles Sherrington, Man and His Nature, and Sherrington's idea, the Nobel Prize winner, his idea that every cell in the body knows its function in the body. That had clicked into me in my second year of the Feldenkrais training. So I began seeing the body, as we were doing our beautiful Feldenkrais work, I began seeing it as a collection of cells, not just the nervous system connections, these neural pathways to the brain to activate new brain cells, as Moshe was so passionate about, for increased learning. And the thing is that, oh God, I just lost the track. Where was I? I had, so with Dr. Popp. So I had seen, as I was working on this horse, when I very respectfully worked very gently around it, it's like the light changed, and it was the same as the rest of the body when the horse no longer was afraid of contact there. So I said to Dr. Popp, like, what? This is my experience. And he said, the light in the cells represents the communication between the cells. And this is what, for me, that was like a key part, because for my birthday in 1967, my 30th birthday, I had this astrological prediction that I would develop a form of communication that would spread around the world. And like, what was that communication? I never knew. And I know it's that connecting with that communication between the cells. And so this is what is in this journal, this international journal. Dr. Popp wrote, "We know today that man essentially is a being of light, and the modern science of photobiology is presently proving this. In terms of healing, the implications are enormous. We now know, for example, that a quanta of light can initiate or arrest or cascade-like reactions in the cells, and that genetic cellular damage can be virtually repaired within hours by faint beams of light." Now, I believe, it's my experience, that when we gently connect with the body with these spiral circles, that's really a spiral, that we are activating that light within the cells, that genius, that intelligence, that divine spark in the cells. That's our intention. And so that's very different from massage, or, you know, it's, I mean, countless people have had tremendous support from massage. This is something different. It's connecting with that divine spark in our dogs, in ourselves, in our kitties, in our bunnies. Yeah. And that's what I want to like, and give you this spark. I would love it. Alice, I see you're smiling. I'd like to know who you are and what you're thinking. Alice Bernards? Alice?
No. I just had to unmute myself. I'm just filled with delight, Linda. Every time that I see you or hear you, I did the last Cellular Wisdom class. I'm an animal Reiki practitioner, and so all of this resonates very deeply in me. It's new to me. I had heard of TTouch, but I hadn't studied it or done anything about it. I fell into the animal Reiki, and it just fits so well. And you just surprise and delight me every time.
Thank you. I mean, it's such a wonder, isn't it? And the thing is, Reiki has helped so many people. And this is just another, like a different, instead of thinking that we bring that healing energy from outside, because it certainly is there. Whoa, hold on. It's right in every cell in our body. This amazing, it's a, you know, this concept is actually in the Bible, in the King James version of Luke 17, lines 20 and 21. God is within you and outside of you. It's in all of nature. Interesting.
May I
yes.
add one more comment?
Yes.
When I say I'm an animal Reiki practitioner, I have been trained by a wonderful Reiki teacher in California. Her name is Kathleen Prasad, and she has created the Let Animals Lead style of animal Reiki. And it goes just so hand in hand with your politeness with the 18-year-old dog and containing them. It's very much a hands-off practice and a meditative practice with the animal, and your hands only are on them if the animal initiates the contact or comes and presents a part of you. It's a very respectful, meditative, heartwarming, seeing the light. I volunteer in an animal sanctuary, and rather than seeing the distress or the abuse an animal has gone through, you focus only on the light within them.
Beautiful.
And help remind them that they have that.
And that's our job, isn't it? It's so easy when we focus on the terror, the awful things that happen. We actually support that. And we bring back, every time we think of that in animal rescue or any kind of rescue, that those emotions come back. I mean, that's been shown by studies, that what we feel, an animal feels. And so when we focus on, wow, how blessed you're here. Here, I'm here. Call in the angels. We're all here for us. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Barbara Breeze, what are you thinking? I see you sitting back there. Who are you?
Well, I live here in Alaska, and I met someone at a retirement community in Pennsylvania last year, and I knew that she had a special way with animals, and I just happened to run into her one day, and I was carrying my little Chihuahua. I'm his fifth family, and he's 14, but he just wants to go after everyone, and I always have to carry him around, but he was with me. And this woman came up, and she introduced herself, but she just rubbed Charlie's ears, and he fell asleep in my arms. And she said, look up TTouch. You have to learn about TTouch. And I haven't seen her again, but it was unbelievable. So I saw this information, and I have another dog along with Charlie now who desperately needs help. And so I'm just so grateful to you. But it was profound that this person, nobody could touch Charlie, and she just touched his ears, and he fell asleep. So beautiful.
You know, that must have been, I wonder if that was Nina, because there was someone, I don't know which, she had a 97-year-old, one of our people had a 97-year-old mother in one of these homes, and she came home after, she actually, the person I'm thinking of, I don't know if it was the same one, but she came because she rescues, she does foster cats, and we only had training for dogs in Maryland. And so she came to it, and for 2 hours during that week, at 5 days, I would lead people through the touches on themselves. So she went home and she did TTouch on her 97-year-old mother, and she had her in the car and noticed like 2 days later, her mother could turn her head. She hadn't been able to turn her head. Now she only did like some of the basic touches on her back and shoulders. And that's some of the miracles that we see that you just never expect to see. And I have a question for all of you here. And it's is it Elise? Is that how you say your name with the A-L-L? Elise? It's not Alice, right? With double A-L.
It's Alice.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It's a very old spelling of Alice.
I love it. Well, I think speaking German, I would say Elise. So
Yeah,
great,
I like it.
Alice.
Sometimes
So-
I get Alice.
So the question is, my question to you all is this. There is a general belief that unless an animal initiates the contact, we shouldn't touch them. This is why I wanted you to see Abby. Because Abby would never have initiated contact. And when, this is my question, when in a respectful way, giving them an opportunity to walk away, because I really want it so they can come back. If they want more, they'll keep coming back and past me. I just put myself in her path, but she had plenty of room to go by. And I just, that's it. No more than that, 4 times as she walked by, and she followed me in the bathroom and licked my hand. And that's my question to you. It's a big thing in animal behavior. Should not force them. I don't think it's forcing them. I think it's giving them the possibility. Anyway, thank you for sharing that. That is very cool, Barbara. I'm going to call Nina and see if it happens, if she remembers that, and if I'm here, because I'll bet you it was. Anybody else like to share an experience that you have or questions? No? The thing about the tail, by the way, I wanted to point out a little bit more with Greta. You notice how when I'd go back to her tail, she'd want to sit down. And so you'd say, well, you're forcing her to stand up. It's true, I was asking her to stand. And at first she couldn't do it, but then she could do it. And her tail got really quiet. Now, that tail, when it goes on like that, that is a level of stress when it's that kind of it's not a happy tail, it's a stress tail. So I just want you to, put that in your back pocket and think about it. I really don't want to leave you all. But it's been such a pleasure. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I was muted. We just adopted a Siberian, a young Siberian who I've had to keep her very close, but without any provocation, she bit someone the other day. And I'm getting a lot of pressure. We have to get rid of her, and not from my family, but.
What was the situation and how old is she?
She's 3. She was given up to adoption, or put in a pound, and this foster place got her. She's got so much energy. And I don't think she's ever had a lot of exercise, but we were just walking by this neighbor's house, and and we talked. I had her on the leash, but he he said hello to her and wanted to pet her. And so I kind of walked towards them, and just without growling, without her ears back, she just bit him. And it was a serious bite. So I have found we have a trainer who is willing to work with us in 2 weeks, and she's food-based. But I see how this dog, Coda, after it happened, she knew, she just registered how upset I was too, and she wouldn't leave my side. And this man is so nice, but she didn't want to go outside. And I can see, I hear you say how focusing on this negative behavior, this little disaster, just created this horrible negative energy. And I'm kind of, I don't know what to do. I'm afraid to take her out around people until I know.
So Barbara, I'd be really happy if you want to contact me and we do some coaching around it, because first of all, she may have been protecting you. She's on leash, that guy approaches her from the front, not a good idea. You don't know what got the dog, to be let go before. They didn't tell you anything in the foster home?
No, they didn't. They just know that she came from a household where she was kept outside all the time. And she bit an elderly woman in the house that unprovoked. And so that's all I know. And
well, I mean, it's a serious, when you hear that, that's a serious responsibility that you have.
yes.
So first of all, and how is she with you, or who else is in your family?
It's just me at the house now. My daughter's a ranger who's out in far out in the wilds, but I have this little old Chihuahua, Charlie, and she's fine with him.
So one of the things that you can do to go out, and I would encourage you to do this, is to prepare her to be worked all around her mouth and to carry a muzzle when you go out. But then just, you might even just, I don't know, make a little thing like, that says in training or something that indicates to people, please, I would really appreciate it, and ask her to come, turn around and sit down behind you. And her job is not to protect you. It's definitely not to go out in front of you. So you can handle this, but I'd be, I would really protect everyone else, and I wouldn't give that dog up at this point by any means.
I couldn't.
Well, the fact that and this is where, ask her, you can stand up. Have you ever heard of body kinesiology?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to do it and ask her some questions?
Wait a minute. Kinesiology is looking at the tension of the body.
Well, no. Kinesiology, applied kinesiology is where you can get a question. You can use a pendulum. You can, somebody else can test you, can test food this way, but you can also do it with your own body. And I've taught this to thousands of people, just in groups of in workshops.
Yeah.
Stand up, and you have to be very respectful with this. This is asking the universe. This is opening only to the divine. And so what we want to do, we can ask a question that is yes or no, and you might get a maybe. So look, you can see me from the side. I'm going to ask a question that I know is a no answer. And then I'll see which way my body goes, and we'll do the same thing with you. So is my nickname Roberta? And I tip back, it's not. And is my Hawaiian name Alele? and it's a yes. And I tip forward. Now let's see you from sideways. Let's ask,
I'll put the,
I'm going to ask you a question that I believe is a yes answer. We'll see which way your body goes.
okay, don't look at my
Yeah.
messages, everybody.
We can't see anything else. We can only see you. Don't worry. So just stand up. Now, I'm going to see if you tip back or forward or maybe sideways. So do you love this dog you've adopted?
I love,
Yeah, no. I want to ask, sorry, I wasn't clear. I'd like to ask your body. Yeah, I'm sorry, Barbara, I wasn't clear. Your body is going to give us a yes or no answer from either tipping forward or backward, most likely. Which way? So, and when you ask your body to give you an answer, do you love this dog? Let's see which way you go. You're going backwards?
yeah.
Okay, so that appears to be your yes. Now, is your name Barbara Breathe? Barbara, is your name Barbara? I want to see which way your body goes. Which way?
To the back.
Okay, so that is your yes. So I'm going to ask a no answer just for fun for you to see it. Are you going to hop on a plane and come and visit me in Hawaii next week? See which way your body answers.
It's going, I want to, but it's saying no.
Okay, so you ask some kind of fun questions like this. Now stay up there. I'm going to ask now your body to tell us, is it okay if we, what's the dog's name?
Coda.
Is it okay if we ask some questions about Coda? Show
Yes.
me with your body. I want to see what your body says. Stand sideways so we can see you. So is it okay if we ask some questions about Coda? Okay, you're going back, right? Yes, because we have to be respectful. It may not be okay right now that we ask this. So I would like to ask a possible question. Did Coda feel that you were threatened when this man came toward you? No is the answer, right? That is the answer, because that would be a question, wouldn't it? Okay, did Coda feel threatened when he walked toward her? Yes, right?
Yes.
I can't see you well against the light, but it's a clear yes.
Yes.
So this means that, okay, let me ask another question. What has Coda at some time in her life been punished for some behavior, punished hard?
Not here.
No, I'm saying sometime in her life. This is when she was younger. Was she punished?
Definitely.
Physically?
How is this happening?
What do you mean?
I don't know how my body would know that. But
Your body doesn't. We're asking the universe. Thank you for that question. If you're interested, you think this is not magic. This, in France, this is applied kinesiology as a 3-year study, but it's asking the universe, asking the divine, ask the angels, ask God. That's what we're asking.
Yeah.
So now think about that, right? So the thing is, in my opinion, it's you have to touch her all over it, talk to her about this, and let her know that you're going to keep her safe. It's not okay for anyone to come up to her, but rather than making people afraid of her, that's why I say, let's put, help me, well, we have to have some, we can't say that she's a service dog because she's not, but we could make some cool thing, cloth to put over her that's something like I don't know, something nice. She's my angel, or she's there for you, for your protection, and not protection, for your support.
Yes.
And for your support. She's your support angel on 4 paws. And make a really pretty, paint something on a piece of cloth and put it on a harness with her. But just let people say, thank you very much, but we're in training, and say it with a smile. So there's, keep yourself in heart coherence. So you're not, and just really, and I would adjust her to a muzzle so she feels, and explain why she's carrying it for her own protection, and let her carry it, learn to carry it in the house, and really reward her with touches. And because think about it, the normal thing, I would think, oh, well, she's trying to protect you, but she's just scared. I want to tell you all something that is it's a basis of this work. And I learned it in 1981 from one sentence in one book from the Course in Miracles. And that is, aggression comes from a place of fear and is a cry for help. So when a dog attacks and bites something, and then they hang them or pin them or shake them or punish them for that, it just drives the fear deeper, and it's very unfair. And I really, this is where I use Ho'oponopono, because all the people who do that, they don't know any better. I punished for it before. I didn't know any better. If any of you, those of you who are dog people, if you've come to a place, for sure, you will have done things with dogs that what you know today you wouldn't do.
Yeah.
They do forgive us.
Yeah.
They do forgive us. That's the good news. And that still doesn't make me feel any better when I think of some of the dogs that I punished over. And it's been very few. But holy mackerel, I wouldn't do it today. Do it very differently. So thank you, Barbara. That was really, really important for this dog and you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's amazing. That person, that encounter last year with the woman that stroked Charlie's ear led to this and hope.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And this is what we do on our Tuesdays live with Linda for 3 hours. It's billed as 2 hours, but we've never gone less than 3 hours, because it's as long as somebody has a scar somewhere, an old thing to work with, a knee. Yeah, and then we all do it. We all follow that. And you stay on as long as you want, but a lot of people stay on